Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Wekiva High School welcomes you to Mustang Field, where it's a beautiful day for softball. In our home opener for the 2019 season, please welcome our guests from Evans High School. They are the Trojans. And they'll be taking on your Wekiva High School Mustangs. Let's meet the teams. We'll begin with our guests from Evans, and we'll start with their reserves. Number 6, Barbara McCoy. Number 8, Celine Harmon. Number 10, Crystal Arias. Number 22, Kamaya Brooks. Number 13, Zanaya Mills. And number 20, Jemiah Powell. And now the starting lineup for the Trojans. Leadoff hitter is third baseman number 5, Cynthia Saints. Batting second for the Trojans, and in the pitcher's circle at the bottom of each inning, number 7, Kaylee LeBoy. Third in the lineup for the Trojans, left fielder number 16, Akila Hudson. Cleanup hitter for the Trojans is center fielder number 12, Carleen Felix. Fifth in the lineup for Evans is first baseman number 15, Kaylin Bronson. Batting sixth is shortstop number 2, Rose Torres. Seventh in the lineup for Evans is second baseman number 3, Decoria Hardeman. Batting eighth is designated player number 17, Kayana Rodriguez. And flexing for her behind the plate at the bottom of each inning, number 14, Sakara Johnson. And finally for the Trojans, batting ninth is right fielder, number 11, Melissa Halper. The Trojans are managed by Coach Cindy Brash and Diane Flans. And now let's meet your Wekiva High School Mustangs, starting with their reserves. Number 7, Jerkaya Concepcion. And number 11, Jenny Felipe. The starting lineup for the Mustangs. The leadoff hitter for the Mustangs is shortstop, number 1, Lexi Witz. Batting second for the Mustangs. And behind the plate at the top of each inning, number 22, Alicia Perez. Third in the lineup for the Mustangs is second baseman, number 21, Luis Concepcion. The cleanup hitter for the Mustangs is third baseman number 12, Alyssa Griffin. Fifth in the lineup for the Mustangs is first baseman number 13, Jenna Japak. Sixth in the lineup for the Mustangs, and in the pitcher's circle to start today's game, number 23, Cassidy Palmer. Seventh in the lineup for the Mustangs is right fielder number 18, Kaylee Parton. Batting eighth for Wekiva, left fielder number 3, Amanda Crafton. And finally for the Mustangs, in the 9-hole, center fielder number 2, Carmen Pino. And the Mustangs are managed by head coach Nyesha Griffin. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please stand and remove your hats as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to Mustang Field for our home opener softball game on this beautiful Thursday afternoon here in sunny Central Florida. We again want to remind you, for those of you just arriving here at the ballpark, that we are live streaming today's game on our YouTube channel, Wekiva Sports. We hope that if you have friends and family who are not able to join us in person today, we do understand that 4 o'clock is a bit early for some of our working professionals who are not able to get here or have other commitments, and so they can tune in until they're able to get here in person. You can also watch an on-demand replay later. And for those of you who are listening to us online, or even if you're here in the ballpark in person, please pull out your phone right now and subscribe to our channel, Wekiva Sports. We need to get to 1,000 subscribers to make YouTube partner status, and once we do that, then some of the revenue that is generated from those ads you see on YouTube will go to us instead of all of it going to Google. So you can help us to raise some money without spending any of your own. It is absolutely free to subscribe to our channel. All we need is those numbers, and you can help us get there. Again, the channel is Wekiva Sports on YouTube. We're going to live stream as much as we possibly can of our spring events. Of course, spring is a tricky season for us because we have a lot of events going on at the same time. So occasionally we will have to pick and choose games that we will be broadcasting, but we will do our best to get as many of them to you as possible. Coming up in about half an hour, varsity baseball will be starting. We will not be able to live stream that one, but you do get two for the price of one if you are here in person as the baseball team takes on the Lyman Greyhounds. Then coming up later tonight, we'll have volleyball here on campus. The Mustangs had the JV team starting at 6 o'clock. Varsity will follow that. We also have water polo going on tonight as they get their season underway as well. As we enter the top of the first inning, once again, the leadoff hitter for the Trojans, third baseman number 5, Cynthia Saint, and on the pitcher circle for the Mustangs, Palmer. Saint advances to first. Next at the plate for Evans is pitcher number 7, Kaylee Lavoie. Palmer records a strikeout to put one away for the Trojans. Next at the plate is center fielder number 12, Curleen Felix. Saint is caught stealing, and that puts 2 away for the Trojans. And we're going to wait and see here on appeal. LeBoy caught stealing at third, and that takes us to the middle of the first inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and none but left on base in that half inning, and the score remains 0-0 after half an inning. Yes, we do. Carlos, we need somebody to look at somebody's foot over here. That's still not focusing because it's focusing on it's trying to focus on the gate, but not on the. Figure out a better answer to this, and I don't know what it is. Yeah, well, no, you couldn't be because that's not where I am. Because even if I'm announcing baseball, I still announce behind the backstop. Yeah, but from the booth, I can't see anything. Yes, you're right. You can get up on the deck there. But I was doing softball. Softball, I was supposed to do baseball. It's not. As we enter the bottom, of the first inning, the leadoff hitter for the Mustangs once again is number 1, the shortstop Lexi Witz. And once again, a warm welcome to those of you joining us on our YouTube webcast. My name is Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs, taking you through this season opening softball game. Mustangs trying to build on the last couple of seasons. First pitch for Evans is high and outside for ball 1. Second is in the same place. Witt's not interested in that either. That one catches the outside corner of the strike zone. LeBoy picks up her first strike. Low and outside for the third ball. Witz walks to first. Next in the lineup for the Mustangs, catcher number 22, Alicia Perez. Short pop-up ends barely in foul territory for strike two. High ball makes the count 1-2. So inconsistent pitching is a very common problem among high school softball programs, particularly early in the season. Both the Mustangs and the Trojans struggling a little bit to find the strike zone here in the first inning of the first home game. And another high one is going to come in. And meanwhile, a couple bases stolen that we didn't mention before. All the way up to third now. So Witz in scoring position. Full count. Pitch is high, and we'll get a walk. Perez walks to first, Witz at third, and next at the plate for the Mustangs, second baseman number 21, Luis Concepcion. First pitch is high and outside for ball one, and an easily stolen base. We'll put runners at 2 and 3. Third pitch goes into her ankle. Concepcion advances to first. That'll load up the bases for third baseman number 12, Alyssa Griffin. Griffin, it's a 2 RBI double. That puts runners at 2 and 3, and the Mustangs are on the board with 2. Next at the plate for the Mustangs, first baseman number 13, Jenna Japak. Three and 1, the count for Japak. And the fourth pitch is high. Japak walks to first, and that once again loads the bases for pitcher number 23, Cassidy Palmer. Palmer advances to first, and that will score Concepcion. Mustangs lead 3-0. Next at the plate, right fielder number 18, Kaylee Parton. So this is a little hard to see because it's in the sunlight, but we'll just do the best we can. So this is hooked into this, so it's sending data to both the scoreboard and to the live stream. So that was a ball. 2 and 2. And if you look, I know it's hard to see, but if you look on here, 2 and 2 with no outs. That was a strike. That's all right. So now we're going to have a clear count, and then we're going to give the Mustangs an out. LeBoy records the strikeout, put one away for the Mustangs. Next at the plate, left fielder number 3, Amanda Crafton. All right, hold on. Don't hit anything yet. Okay, hit. So hit the hit button. And give Wekiva a hit, so hits +1. And then 2 runs. Again. There we go. Oh, wait, did we score? Crofton with a 3 RBI double deep into center field. And that'll score 3 for the Mustangs, make it a 6-0 ball game. And next at the plate for Wekiva will be center fielder number 2, Carmen Pina. All right, so hit clear hits because we want to make that go away, and also clear the count. Meanwhile, Crafton steals third as we get a 1-0 count at home. Wasn't that a ball? Wasn't that a ball? That was definitely a ball. Ball. Yeah, you did miss a ball, so put it up the floor. Pina walks to first, and that puts runners at 1 and 3 as the Mustangs return to the top of the lineup with shortstop number 1, Lexi Witz. Somehow, some way, the Mustangs avoid the tag out at third. With a short grounder down the third baseline, Witz is safe at first, and that loads the bases once again for catcher number 22, Alicia Perez. All right, so clear the count. Hit for that. Oh, you already did. Cool. Okay, that's a strike. It's a foul ball. Now at the plate for the Mustangs, Concepcion. Probably.
Hey, are these?
Those are mine.
They are yours?
Yeah.
You didn't find them?
No, I bought those.
Oh, because I lost my pair, so.
Let me.
So, how was Chicago?
Cold, but successful.
Yes. There's a reason I live down here.
strikeout. Thank you. That was a strikeout. So put a add 2 strikes. Out.
Game start at 4.
Yeah. It's a bunt. All right, yeah, give her a hit for that. Okay. Alyssa Griffin on the bunt. She's safe at first and scores the run for the Mustangs. Next at the plate, first baseman number 13, Jenna Japak. If there are already 2 strikes on the board and they hit a foul ball, what you do is you say foul ball is either time or visitor, so that it increments the pitch count but doesn't increment the strikes. So the Mustangs out with a strong start, leading 8-0, with 2 outs on the board. Another foul away there. No, see, it's not. Don't do that. You actually want it's a guest foul ball. Put the guest And again, unsurprising to see 2 young softball programs with pitching challenges. And we're going to pick up another hit here for the Mustangs as Japak with a short grounder into the left center infield. She'll score a run and put runners at 1 and 2 for the Mustangs. Next at the plate is pitcher number 23, Cassidy Palmer. And I also want to welcome Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief. He joins me for nearly all of the football and basketball games that we broadcast, and he'll be here from time to time during baseball and softball season as well. Welcome, Neil.
Well, thank you, Mark, as always, and it's good to be with you as we get started here with the spring sports. Of course, as you just mentioned, we are the tandem, just getting off the football and basketball. So again, while this is new as far as softball and baseball, we have been together for about 2/3 of the school year now. And I gotta say, Mark, especially after yesterday, certainly beautiful weather has greeted us for the start of the softball season as well as home baseball season.
And the Mustangs are called out at third for leaving early, and so that will take us to the end of the first inning, with the Mustangs leading 9-0 at the end of 6 outs. So it appears this is the first time we've used the software program for the baseball and softball season. It appears there's a bug in the program that if you score more than 9 runs in a single inning, that it doesn't print the tens digit on the line score. So that 0 that you see under Wekiva is actually a 10. And we did miss. We missed when Lexi came in. So that will actually be a 10-0 game at the end of 1 inning for Wekiva.
Yes, Mark, and obviously Evans is not the strongest of programs in Central Florida or the state, but nonetheless, exactly the kind of start, not only to a ball game, but to a season. Of course, Wekiva will face many more difficult challenges of a much more difficult variety, but for now, certainly some confidence and momentum being built here. Very strong inning. Pretty much everything Wekiva did was successful, from a couple of long hits, doubles and triples there, all the way to laying down a squeeze bunt. And if you are wondering, although this will come into play now, the mercy rule, if I know that's not really the best way to say it, but for lack of a better way to term it, the mercy rule is 10 runs after 5 innings, or 15 runs after 4. If either of those happen, then the game is official. No need to play those last innings. So as we move to the top of the second here, Wekiva holding a 10-0 lead. And again, another good start here as they get the strike on the first pitch.
She swung at that. So
yeah, make that 2 strikes now.
Don't report him over there. Report him over here. Because otherwise it doesn't put him on the board.
What's her first name?
Jenna.
No. Oh, Cassidy, okay.
Cassidy, yeah.
So again, Cassidy Palmer, who got the start today, is off to a very good start here. Chance to get 4 straight outs now.
Another foul. So I'm going to have to adjust this back end. Home line score 1. Disconnect from scoreboard. So with a 1-2 count and a couple of foul balls to boot, as Neil mentioned, a good start for Palmer, and Palmer records the strikeout against Carleen Felix, and that puts 1 away for the Trojans. Next at the plate for Evans, first baseman, number 15, Kaylin Bronson.
So Palmer there found the weak spot, which is the lower half of the strike zone, and stuck with it. Had a couple of foul balls there and eventually got that 3rd strike there. Good movement on that 3rd strike, dropping the ball just a bit. And now she continues to get the strikes there. Of course, Mark, I don't think you have to be a softball or baseball guru to understand that if you get ahead in the pitch count, the count, that the pitcher whoever gets ahead gets an advantage.
Yeah, certainly, and Palmer had a little bit of a shaky start, but she seems to have found a rhythm here in the second inning. Didn't give up any runs in the first inning in spite of a few wild pitches, but now she seems to have found a rhythm, and that is an outside ball, but still one that's under control. And so we'll see how that develops, as we may not be playing more than about 4 innings here if things continue to trend the way that they have so far. Oh, excuse me. Lexi Witz is pitching, and I should have noted that. Palmer pitched the first inning. Lexi Witz is now pitching. We'll get that updated on your scoreboard. And Lexi Witz records 2 back-to-back strikeouts to put 2 away for the Trojans. Next at the plate for Evans. Shortstop, number 2, Rose Torres.
So, Mark, it's also our first ball game. Certainly, we look a bit rusty there ourselves. Missing that pitching change.
Yeah, we're trying a bunch of new stuff. So we ask for your patience as we work toward getting this product polished. We feel like now that we've gotten to the end of a couple of good seasons of football and basketball, that we're in a good place there, and we're producing pretty high quality broadcasts. And now we're going to try to do the same for baseball and softball. We're going to have to work on our camera angles for one thing. The challenge that we have here is that we don't have adequate cable length to get the camera into a position where it is not behind the fence. So we're filming through gates at this point, and we're working on getting that adjusted in future games where we can maybe get the camera in a position where you're not going to be looking through a fence like those of us who are here in person do. But in the meantime, certainly you're getting the same experience that those in the ballpark do. And Lexi Witz with 3 consecutive strikeouts, and that will take us to the middle of the second inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and none left on base, and the score remains 10-0 at the end of an inning and a half.
Griffin, do you know? Alright, so just push out again, and that resets it, and it also moves the batter to home. Okay.
11 for 23.
During the break, we'll have a lineup change for the Mustangs. Jenny Philippi is into the game for Cassidy Palmer. LeBoy remains on the pitcher's circle for the Trojans. As we enter the bottom of the second inning, the Mustangs will start with number 11, Jenny Philippi.
So, Mark, with that 10-0 lead here and looking like we are going to have an early end to this game because of the mercy rule, Coach Griffin looking to get some of her non-starters some experience, some time.
Yeah, and that's particularly valuable this early in the season, as Philippi takes 2 swings that she probably shouldn't have. Third pitch is low and in the dirt. And, yep, they are going to say that she swung at that one. So, LeBoy records the swinging strikeout to put 1 away for the Mustangs. Next at the plate for Wekiva, number 18, the right fielder, Kaylee Parton.
So, Mark, I know obviously this game, barring what would be a something of a minor miracle, Wekiva has won this game on the first inning alone. But of course, at this point, you want to keep that momentum going. You don't want to get 10 runs in the first inning and a multitude of hits and walks, and then not do anything, get another hit the rest of the way.
So yeah, Neil, certainly the Mustangs want to finish strong here for however many innings they get. That one is going to be low and inside for a ball, and that'll bring up a 1-2 count. And certainly, as you mentioned, Neil, Wekiva will face many strong opponents this season. Wekiva has been cursed for the last several years of being in the same district down the road from West Orange, which is a perennial state powerhouse, has had a string of nationally ranked pitchers go through their halls. And here we're going to get to the third baseman, and it is a 5-3 ground out. Is thrown from Saint to Bronson, and that will put 2 away for the Mustangs. Next to the plate for Wekiva is left fielder number 3, Amanda Crafton.
Yeah, and again, let's not forget Apopka either. Perhaps they're not quite as successful as far as the state championships as West Orange. Nonetheless, they are a program that has made several FHSAA postseason tournaments. For those of you who are not familiar with how you advance into the FHSAA postseason tournament, or if you prefer the state playoffs, basically there are 16 districts across the state, and the teams finishing first and second then advance into the tournament. The advantage, of course, of being the champion is that you get to play at home anytime you take on a second-place team.
And of course, this is going to be the last year that we follow that system. Starting next year, most of the major sports are going to move to a system very similar to what football moved to this past year, where only the district champions will advance. So there will still be a district tournament, but only the district champion will be guaranteed to advance. They will earn the number 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds in each region, and then the number 5, 6, 7, and 8 seeds in each region will go to at-large wild cards from those who have the highest max preps power rankings, which the way it's been described to me is you might as well think of that as 35% your win-loss record, 35% your opponent's win-loss records, and 30% your opponent's win-loss records. That's pretty much how that works, and don't worry, you don't have to do the math at home. Max Preps will do it for you. But that's how most of these are going, and what's going to be interesting, we don't yet have this information yet, but we do have the classifications and districts for girls volleyball next year. That's the only one that we have. But historically, basketball, baseball, and softball have tracked to be pretty similar to where volleyball lands up, because most larger schools who offer any one of those programs offer all of them. So the districts usually shake out about the same way. So if we use that as a model, then we might believe that Wekiva may drop a classification next year because they are right on that population borderline, and they could become the second largest classification in the next season, which would also put them in a different district. And with the walk to first, Crafton will be followed up by Carmen Pino, the center fielder.
So, yeah, Mark, and for those of you, again, who are not familiar with Wekiva history, there was a 2-year period, I believe that was about 5 years ago, where Wekiva was actually in Class 7A. At that point, there were only 8 classes in all the sports. And because Class 7A was a bit of an oddity in the fact that they didn't really have a lot of schools in the actual Orange County area, you had about 12 in 9A and about, 9, you had 9 or 10 in Class 8A, and you had the same amount in Class 6A, but there was only about 3 or 4 in 7A. So they wound up in this very odd-looking district as far as geography, location, and distances. There were 2 or 3 teams that were from in Orange County, 2 or 3 teams in Seminole, and then 2 or 3 in Lake County. I believe the furthest one was actually South Lake, and going out to Lake County, and then you had a couple over in Seminole.
Yeah, and what should not happen this year, this coming year, is those really long distance games, because the FHSAA has said, hey, look, since we're no longer requiring you to play district games in your regular season in order to qualify for the district tournament at the end of the year, we're not going to worry about that trying to make the districts geographically compact anymore. We're just going to put the same number of schools in every district, because the problem that you have in the current system is that some districts only have 1 or 2 schools, others have several. And here we're going to get a fly out as the fly ball is caught in left field for the Trojans by number 15. That's Bronson with the fly catch, and that will take us to the end of the second inning. No runs scored in that inning for the Mustangs, and it remains a 10-0 ball game at the end of 2.
What happened? What happened?
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to invite you to join us tomorrow. We've got a couple of different things going on. We've got a baseball game here at home at 4 o'clock, and then we, of course, have a big event coming up in the evening. We have the ladies basketball team. They've made it all the way to the state semifinal. And so we invite both Mustang and Evans Trojan fans to come back and join us tomorrow, or to watch online on our YouTube channel, Wekiva Sports, because at 4 o'clock tomorrow we will have the Mustangs versus the Trojans on the baseball field. So same 2 teams, but the baseball program as opposed to the softball program, they'll be playing tomorrow at 4 p.m., and we hope you'll join us for that either here in person or virtually on our YouTube channel. Then coming up at 6 o'clock, Wekiva plays in Lakeland. That's the RP Funding Center, and the Mustangs will be facing off in the state semifinals once again. That one, of course, we would love to have you in person. We do recognize that it's not possible for you to see both the baseball game and the girls basketball state semifinal unless you have discovered a way to teleport to Lakeland, or you drive even faster than I do. However, if you are not able to join us in person way down in Polk County for the state semifinal, it is being televised on the NFHS network. The media rights to that are owned by the FHSAA, and they are the ones broadcasting it, not us. So therefore, that is the way that you have to get to it. It's very reasonable, though. It's $9.95 for a 1-month subscription if you don't already have one, and that will allow you to watch the game virtually. That's probably less than you would have paid for parking and admission anyway. So if you would like to subscribe to that, just go to nfhsnetwork.com. Make sure you identify that you are supporting Wekiva when you do that, because then a portion of your subscription fee will go to the school, and we appreciate your support with that as well. So again, we hope you'll join us in person at the RP Funding Center tomorrow night at 6, or if you are not able to make it to Lakeland, then go ahead and purchase the $9.95 subscription to the NFHS network and watch us online. And as we head into the top of the 3rd inning, Evans will begin in the 7th position of their lineup with second baseman number 3, Decoria Hardeman.
And speaking of the state Final Four for girls basketball, Mark, Wekiva should be just about wrapping up their practice tonight. Also, the final is Saturday night at 7 p.m., so of course if Wekiva wins tomorrow, they will be playing for the championship. 1 victory to go, 2-2 right now total. And also just like to mention too, this is their 4th appearance in the state Final Four over the course of the last 6 seasons. So certainly a program that's emerged from, I guess you could say, the Rebels. They had never had a winning season until Coach Butts got here, and now they're going for their second state championship.
Meanwhile, back at the softball field, we have yet another pitching change for the Mustangs. Clearly, Coach Griffin wants to get as much experience rotated around here early in the season in what is considered a relatively safe game, where this is a low-risk experiment that she has an opportunity to see her pitchers perform in action. So, again, we started the game with Cassidy Palmer, and then Lexi Witch pitched an inning in the second, and now we move to Alicia Perez in the pitcher circle, so getting a little bit of variety of experience playing the different positions. Perez, of course, started behind the plate. And so effectively she's traded places with Lexi Witz, who's now crouching behind the plate for the Mustangs. That pitch is in the dirt. Hardeman walks to first. Next at the plate for the Trojans, designated player, number 17, Kayana Rodriguez. So as we pause here for the timeout, another thing we want to point out is we've got not just baseball and softball season starting up here, but also girls lacrosse, boys volleyball, and flag football. Again, we're going to bring you as many of those games as we can. We won't be able to bring you all of them because some of them are on top of each other. And so we'll make the most fair choices that we can when we have to decide what we're covering, since we can't be everywhere at once. And we're going to get a barely stolen base. Mustangs almost got there in time. Flag football season, of course, actually we have two spring sports that are coached by our basketball coaches from the winter sports season. Volleyball for the boys is coached by Dracino Lubin, who also coaches boys basketball. Their season ended in the regional quarterfinals last week. And then we also have Tommy Butts, who's still busy coaching girls basketball, will be coaching the flag football season as well. And here we have Perez records her first strikeout to put one away for the Trojans. Next at the plate for Evans, right fielder number 11, Melissa Halper.
And, Mark, one of the advantages of working for the Apopka Chief, in the because I do cover not only Wekiva High School, but I do cover the city of Apopka, is I get to see a lot of these athletes before they come here to Wekiva. And Yalisha Perez out there on the mound is one of those athletes. Her mom, she comes from a softball, baseball family. Her mother, of course, has coached a number of teams at the youth level, and her younger brother plays baseball. They're very versatile. So.
And here she catches the inside of the strike zone. This has been a real focus for Nyasia Griffin since she came back to the Mustangs as the head coach of the softball program, and that is building up that bullpen, which, if you remember back to the days of Savannah Lalonde, who went on to pitch at the junior college level before coming back, and I forget, she was assistant coaching over at Olympia for a while, and she was, of course, perhaps one of the most successful pitchers in Wekiva softball history. As Halper walks to first, and next at the plate for the Trojans, they return to the top of their lineup with third baseman number 5, Cynthia Saint. But as I started to say, the Mustangs entered a period after that where pitching depth became a problem. We had maybe one viable pitcher each season, and if that pitcher got tired out or was not able to perform in a particular game, well, that was pretty much the end of that ball game for Wekiva. And so Coach Griffin has recognized that as a priority for the Mustangs and has built up over the last few seasons. She's made sure that she has not one, but 2 or 3 players who are capable of carrying the torch for the Mustangs in the pitcher's circle. And so as the season progresses, you'll probably see one of those 3 young ladies that we've seen so far kind of become the de facto starting pitcher for the Mustangs. But having that depth is so critical, and something that you often take for granted in baseball teams, because you'll have 2 or 3 guys on your team who probably come into the JV program having played Little League for years. Softball, that's not as common. As Saint walks to first, and next at the plate for Evans with the bases now loaded is pitcher number 7, Kaylee LeBoy. And she'll take a swing at the high first pitch and knock it foul. So as I started to say, in baseball you tend to take for granted that you're going to have at least something of a bullpen, because you're going to have some guys come onto the team with Little League experience. In softball, that may not be as common. And here we'll get the Trojans on the board on a wild pitch. So that'll be a ball and also a run scored. And that puts Evans on the board. Runners now at 2 and 3 with a 2-1 count. Foul tip there, and Perez has an opportunity to put the second out on the board.
Yeah, her first out came by way of the strikeout as well.
Another wild pitch, and that's going to give up another run.
Perhaps Wekiva got a little too comfortable after that first inning.
And Perez considers that maybe loose shoelaces were the problem. Perez records a swinging strikeout. The strike is dropped. However, it makes its way to first base, and so it will go down as an out and put 2 away for the Trojans. Next at the plate is left fielder number 16, Akela Hudson.
And right now we have a break in the action. Equipment malfunction.
However, for what it's worth, if you wanted to keep the pitch count accurately, you would need to, if they go to the third strike or the fourth ball, to go ahead and push the button to make it count the pitch before you clear it. So if it's ball 3 and they get a 4th ball, you wouldn't clear it right away. You actually put the 4th ball up and then clear it. For today, that's not a big deal because we don't have anything that displays the pitch count. I'm trying to work with the people who make this thing to see if they can get it to read the pitch count. I'll see if I can get that later in the season. And that's also where these, like, if it turns into a hit or an error, you would use it in play, and that would add to the pitch count. Okay.
Griffin returns to the game for the Mustangs, and now in the pitcher circle is Carmen Pino. Now the 4th pitcher we've seen for Wekiva in 3 innings.
What you would do here, again, not that it's really matter, but you would clear the pitch count, because now we have a new pitcher. And technically speaking, you can actually scroll down to, the pitcher number is now 2. And that's clear the pitches. But again, it doesn't really do anything. But we don't have the technology for that. But that's buttons there.
Lexi Witz re-enters the game in left field. Now behind the plate for the Mustangs is Alyssa Griffin. And Alicia Perez will come out at shortstop. So again, this is an early season experiment here. Normally you wouldn't see a district game used as an experiment, but when you're playing a team and you're leading 10-2, you have an opportunity to almost treat this like a preseason game and make some similar choices as a coach to what you would make if you were playing in a preseason classic. Because you have a little bit of a safety net here, and you can gain some valuable information out of these innings, even if they're not necessarily competitive.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. Again, as we mentioned, and it's unfortunate that this is what happens in high school, but Evans is not really they're one of the, I guess you could say, weaker programs. They're clearly a basketball school, certainly not a baseball or a softball school. And Coach Griffin is looking to take advantage of that.
Hudson walks to first. Next to the plate for the Trojans, center fielder number 12, Carlene Felix. And we'll start with it being tipped away for a strike. Swinging strike as Pino sends one up over the middle.
You don't have to know what Wekiva's record is, do you?
For softball?
Yeah. It's like
Felix pops it over the head of the Mustang shortstop, and that will score a run for the Trojans and put a runner at first. Next at the plate for Evans, first baseman, number 15, Kaylin Bronson.
And Mark, I believe that's the first hit of the ball game for Evans.
Yes, it is.
I don't recall hearing the sound of bat making contact with the ball. So, as you mentioned, Mark, this certainly is an experiment, and focusing on at the center of that experiment of getting as many players in to get experience is the pitchers developing a bullpen. And if you want to go one step further, and where I'm going with this is that Wekiva certainly needs to work on its control here.
So if there's a hit, because that was a hit, so you would give a hit to the guest. I already did it, so we won't do it again. In addition to the
And so far this game, up until that base hit, Wekiva got outs by either all of Wekiva's outs came via the strikeout, or they gave up a walk.
strike three.
So after starting with a walk, Pino records the swinging strikeout, and that will take us to the end, or rather to the middle of the third inning. And the Trojans picking up a run on one hit with no Mustang errors and leaving one on base, and it's a 7-run lead for the Mustangs at the end of 2.5. 10-3 is your score as we go into the bottom of the third.
So, are you going to Lakeland tomorrow?
No, there's no way I'll get there after the basketball.
You mean before?
Baseball.
Oh, you're going to be.
So I'll watch it online. I'll still live tweet it. I'll pretend I'm there, but I'll use because I have an access code since I'm a broadcaster admin for Wekiva. I have an access code that I can watch it on FH's network.
Okay.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are just joining us, we understand if you get here a little bit late on game days. We know that our games start early since we have no lights on our field, and we appreciate you joining us as soon as you're able. We do want you to know, though, that we're going to try our best as often as we can this season to live stream as many of our games as possible. So if you do need to stay at work for a little longer or other commitments and you want to pull up the game online, you can go to our YouTube channel, Wekiva Sports. And we just hope those broadcast qualities are going to get better and better as we continue doing them. We already have live streamed a number of football and basketball games, even a couple of soccer and volleyball games so far. And now we are going to start trying to stream baseball, softball, lacrosse, volleyball, and flag football as well. We will again do that as often as we possibly can. The best way that you can help support us in doing that is to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We ask you to do that even if you're always here in person and you don't really need the live streams. Please subscribe anyway, because we need to get our subscriber counts up to 1,000 in order to become a YouTube partner, and then we will start generating money just from you watching our videos. You do not need to spend any of your own money on that. It is free to subscribe and free to watch, but if you would subscribe, it will help us to reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers, and we appreciate that very much. Go to YouTube and search for Wekiva Sports. As we enter the bottom of the third inning, the Mustangs will start in the first position of the lineup with shortstop number 1, Lexi Witz.
Did you say shortstop?
Well, no, I don't know what she's playing now. That's what she started.
So, course mark, you can see she's a lefty. Played a number of positions today already. And after giving up the 3 runs, Wekiva's got some work here to get back, find some momentum.
A little outside, probably still a wise swing, but Witz fouls it away down the third baseline, and it's a 2-2 count.
Yeah, definitely trying to go to the opposite field there, doing some slap hitting. Trying to slap that ball over the third baseman. You see the first baseman as well as the third baseman have both come in. The first baseman further in than the third baseman.
And so Witz doing exactly what she has to do. A little behind on the count, fouls it away, stays alive, swing another. That one she has no interest in whatsoever, nor should she. A high ball will make it a full count.
Another foul ball there. Good job by Lexi going with the pitch, fighting it off.
And just barely at her wrist, Witz manages to get something going there as a grounder to the shortstop will earn a hit for Witz, and she is safe at first. Next at the plate for the Mustangs, number 22, Alicia Perez.
So I'm not sure if Wicks meant to hit that ball. It was actually inside. She would have gotten a base on balls if she didn't swing. But she did hit it right to the one place in the infield where she could she could leg the ball out, leg out the hit.
Yeah, so as they say, at the risk of saying of a terrible softball pun, no harm, no foul. Mustangs picked up 10 runs easily in the first inning, and now LeBoy seems to have gotten it under control a little bit. I say that as we give up a passed ball here to put a runner at second. But LeBoy, who really was out of control in the first inning, seems to have gotten it together a little bit here. And while the Mustangs are still certainly commanding control of this game, it is not the wild runaway that it started out to be in the first inning. And sometimes that's not uncommon in both baseball and softball to see that it takes a young pitcher who may not have a ton of experience. It may take them an inning to really get into the rhythm and find that muscle memory. And certainly that seems to be what we're seeing here. Fourth pitch away, and that one Perez will take a swing at. It's fouled down the third baseline, and it brings up a 2-2 count.
So once again, or if you prefer, the Evans infield, the first and third baseman continue to play close to home plate. Coming in. Oh, beautiful hit there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's going to be a hit for the Mustangs. And it's going to score a run, too. And in fact, yes, she does get it. It may be an in-the-park home run, and it is. Alicia Perez turns it into an in-the-park home run, picks up 2 RBIs. And the Mustangs extend their lead to 12-3. Next at the plate for the Mustangs, second baseman number 21, Luis Concepcion.
A couple beautiful pieces of hitting there, Mark. In that particular case, Perez clearly was trying to go down the third base line. She had hit a couple balls foul, just missing outside the third base. That time she got it about 6 inches inside, and there was no one to cover it in the outfield. And took advantage of it with, of course, the inside the park home run. Very aggressive, too, especially once she got around second base there and realized the ball had yet to be picked up.
And we pause there as Coach Griffin makes sure that everything is on the up and up as she prepares to re-enter the other Concepcion, Jakaya, who is currently on deck.
So, and if you are interested, got a score for the baseball game. It's 4-0 Lyman in the top of the fourth. Try to keep you updated with that.
Swing and a miss here will bring up a 1-1 count. LeBoy's pitch is high. Again, as we've seen since the first inning, her pitches have definitely come under better control, but that one's still a little too high for the strike zone. Brings up 2-1. And another one in exactly the same spot. We'll make it 3-1 for Concepcion. Mustangs with a 9-run lead. They will need to get that to at least back to 10 if they want to make this a 5-inning ball game. That one is fouled into the concession stand to make it a full count. And, of course, Neil, it's very important that we make it to at least the 5th inning with the Mustangs ahead. And do you know why that is? Because otherwise we won't make it to the 5th inning stretch.
Wow.
I haven't sung Take Me Out to the Ball Game since April of last year. Concepcion will walk to first. And we can leave the graphic at the bottom of the screen the same because batting next for the Mustangs is the other Concepcion, Jakaya, number 7, now at the plate for Wekiva. Back-to-back balls open this at-bat for Jakaya.
Yeah, and that's 6 out of the last 7 pitches have been out of the strike zone. Wekiva doing a nice job of laying off those pitches. And no sooner do I say that than Concepcion swings at a pitch outside and low. Nonetheless, still a 2-1 count.
High and outside, ball 3.
So remember, there still aren't any outs here, so potential for another big inning for Wekiva. Already put 2 on the board, but certainly could get up to maybe 5 or 6 here.
Jakaya Concepcion walks to first. That puts Concepcion at first, Concepcion at second, and at the plate. Batting next for the Mustangs, first baseman, number 13, Jenna J. Pack. And she'll start with a ball in the dirt.
So you had mentioned a little bit earlier here that this is a district game. The 2 other teams in the district, of course, are the West Orange Warrior, the mighty state perennial power, and they've won, I believe it's 2 state championships. I know they've made it to the state Final Four a number of other times, and of course Apopka just up the road. Apopka has a streak of, I believe, something like 5 out of the last 7 seasons winning at least 20 games.
Right, and so as I said, the Mustangs have long lived with the curse of bad districting, and we'll see whether that makes a difference later.
Oh yes, and also, I'm sorry, Mark, but Olympia is in the district too.
And you know, I think I'm going to score that as a hit for the Mustangs, because I think that even if the shortstop had played it cleanly there, everybody still would have been safe. So an RBI single on the board, and next at the plate, number 23, Cassidy Palmer.
Yeah. Actually, Mark, that's about a foot over to the right from where Wiki led off this inning with a single, finding that sweet spot in the infield.
Did you give us the last one?
And by the way, Mark, I do apologize to you listening. Again, like you said, most of the districts are the same, but actually softball is somewhat different. Evans is not in the same district as Wekiva. It's Lake Brantley, Olympia, West Orange, and Apopka. Of course, I remember now that Olympia defeated Apopka last year in the semifinal round of the district championship tournament. And the reason I bring that up is because that goes back to what we talked about. I believe it was in the second inning, the format changing as far as who qualifies for the FHSA postseason tournament. Apopka was clearly, worst case scenario, the second best team in the district last year. They actually split both of the games with West Orange, but unfortunately the night before they took on Olympia in the semifinal round, their number 1 pitcher came down with the flu. She was actually in the hospital, and they had, I believe, 5 different starters out of the lineup due to various injuries.
Yeah, so sometimes when it rains, it pours, and you are correct. The districts are a little bit different for baseball and softball than they are for football and basketball. Many of the same teams, but also a couple that are not, and Evans is one of the exceptions. And we'll foul away 2 in a row here to put 2 strikes on the board. Still no outs for the Mustangs here in the 3rd inning. So as you mentioned, Neil, an opportunity to build on their 10-run lead that they've already established. And again, it is probable, though we don't have confirmation of this yet, but it is probable that Wekiva will drop a classification based on enrollment as we enter the next scheduling cycle and the next classification cycle. Palmer will advance to first, and that will load up the bases for right fielder, number 18, Kaylee Parton. As Palmer takes a softball to the ankle there.
Yeah, so not only does Wekiva have no outs, but the bases are now loaded. Definitely potential for a big inning. We're going to get one more here. Another mistake by Evans.
And so a run on a wild pitch.
What was called, Lou? Huh? Oh, okay, so still a run, right?
Mustangs will score another. And we now have runners at 1 and 3. Next at the plate for Wekiva, number 3, the left fielder Amanda Crafton as Partner safe at first.
And again, Mark, I just mentioned this, but Wekiva keeps hitting that ball into the soft spot of the infield, pretty much about 6 inches, about 2 feet to the right or left of the shortstop there. That's the third time this inning they've gotten a hit by going to that location.
Yeah, and Crafton manages not to get hit by the pitch there, but it was well inside. And so, yeah, and of course, sometimes you have to make some judgment calls as a scorer. Here's a passed ball that's going to put a run on the board for the Mustangs. Oh, she should have run a little faster there, but she does just make it across the line, and that will send Palmer home and add to the Mustang lead.
Yeah, to be honest, I actually thought she was out on that play because she stopped there about a foot from home plate.
Another well-placed ball, and yeah, that's going to be an error on the shortstop. It will score a run still, though, for the Mustangs. Still no outs on the board for Wekiva. Next at the plate for the Mustangs is center fielder number 2, Carmen Pino. Well, I was just about to update the graphic to show a runner on first, and then she went ahead and stole second, so I guess we don't have to update that after all. Thanks for the assistance there. Two strikes for Pino.
Oh, Pino definitely showing some aggressiveness on the base path.
Yeah, and there again, as I started to say a minute ago, sometimes you have to make a judgment call as a scorer, particularly with teams that don't have as much experience in softball at the high school level. When you think about errors versus hits, and in that case, in my judgment, had the shortstop made the play cleanly, that would not have materialized in a run, or at least would have been an out at first, if not at home. You don't necessarily score an error just because of lack of speed. In the MLB, you don't necessarily have to worry about that. If they can make the play, they do make the play. In high school sports, sometimes we'll go ahead and award a hit, even because there was no mishandling of the ball in the most technical sense, even though perhaps a play could have been made on it had the fielder been more alert or had the fielder run a little faster. We don't necessarily count all of those as errors, because otherwise we get to the end of the softball game and we have 8 or 10 errors in the books. Much softer swing here from Pino, and it results in a soft foul down the first baseline. Still a 2-2 count. A high ball will bring up a full count for Pino, so she's battled back from a 0-2 count.
And Wekiva hasn't had a lot of full counts in this game. I don't recall any other ones.
Rose Torres makes the fly catch at the shortstop position to put one away for the Mustangs. Wekiva now returns to the top of the lineup card with Lexi Witz.
And of course, Wicks began this inning with a single. Hit it into that hole there next to the shortstop. Ball was actually fielded, but it was in that hole deep enough that Wicks was able to leg out the hit. And as we mentioned, now the total is 4 hits have come by way of hitting the ball into that hole next to the shortstop.
Nice looking swing there, just needed to be a little higher to catch that ball. And a wild pitch will score the run for the Mustangs as Amanda Crafton comes home. Oh, it's 15.
Okay, so you can see it for yourself there. Mercy rule, 15 runs. It's not at the end of 4. It's any time that the deficit becomes 15. And so, to be honest, Wekiva pretty much did what was expected today.
That takes us to the end of the ball game. 18-3 the final score for the Mustangs. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for coming out this afternoon to support your Mustang and Trojan athletes. Thanks also to those of you who joined us online on our YouTube channel, Wekiva Sports. We invite both our Mustang and our Trojan fans to come back and see us tomorrow, as we'll have the baseball teams facing off with each other. And we also, for those of you who'd like to see some more softball action, the next game is going to be on March 1st against Lake Brantley. And that will be on the road. So we hope you'll join us for that. Don't forget, of course, we have volleyball later tonight. And we also have the girls basketball state semifinal tomorrow night at 6 at Lakeland. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming out to support your Trojan and Mustang athletes. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Wekiva Sports, and bookmark WekivaMustangs.com for all of your scores, schedules, and more. Please drive carefully and arrive home safely. Have a great night.